big focus. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is in Jammu and Kashmir and has chaired a security review meeting against the backdrop of two significant incidents. Rajnath Singh's visit to Jammu has gained prominence. One, a terrorist ambush in Poonch, resulting in the tragic loss of 4 Jawans who were killed in action. Second, the unfortunate death of 3 civilians detained by the army for questioning following the Poonch ambush. The allegation is that this was death in custody. As the anti-terrorism operation in Poonch enters its 8th day, Rajnath Singh conveyed a poignant, a very important message while addressing the forces. Every soldier is important.
मैं आपको आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं कि घटना की गंभीरता को देखते हुए जो भी आवश्यक और जो भी उचित कदम है वह उठाने की भरपूर कोशिश की जा रही है। हमारे लिए हर सैनिक बेहद महत्वपूर्ण है। उसके लिए जो भी शासन की तरफ से सहयोग की आवश्यकता है अथवा भविष्य में भी जो शासन के सहयोग की आवश्यकता पड़ेगी उसके लिए हम सरकार का खजाना पूरी तरह से खुला हुआ है।
And Rajnath Singh highlighted the importance of winning the hearts of civilians in yet another crucial message to the forces. This in the light of alleged custodial deaths of civilians and the subsequent public backlash.
आप सभी इस देश के रक्षक हैं। देश की रक्षा के साथ साथ मैं आप लोगों से विशेष आग्रह करना चाहता हूं। देश की रक्षा की जिम्मेदारी आप लोगों के ऊपर है, लेकिन इस देश की रक्षा के साथ साथ अपने देशवासियों का दिल जीतना यह भी आपके लिए बहुत बड़ी जिम्मेदारी आपके कंधों के ऊपर है।
And responding to Rajnath Singh's visit, J&K National Conference Chief Farooq Abdullah asked if the Defence Minister can bring the dead back to life.
जो वो हमारे लोग मारे गए, क्यों मारे गए, किस तरह मारे गए, उसकी तहकीकात भी करेंगे और कोशिश करेंगे उन घर वालों के मलहम लगाने की। उसलिए
क्या एक्सपेक्टेशंस हैं?
मुझे कोई एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं है। क्या एक्सपेक्टेशन होगी? क्या वो उन मुर्दों को वापस लाएंगे? क्या इनमें वो ताकत है? इतना तो कर सकेंगे। हम उम्मीद करेंगे आगे ऐसा जुल्म नहीं हो।
Well, what has happened in Jammu today is hugely important. The messaging from India's Defence Minister has been extremely strong. He has been very clear with the message that he wanted to give out to the forces as well as to the people. It's a message to win wars and to win hearts. But let's just break this down. What does this really mean? I'm being joined by Lieutenant General Ata Hasnain. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on this very, very important issue. My first question to you has to be, what does one really make out of this messaging from Rajnath Singh's very important speech?
See, Sneha, the thing is that, first of all, he's visiting at a very important time. Article 370 has been removed, been confirmed by the Supreme Court. I'm looking at the larger picture. Kashmir is stable. Infiltration is under control in that part. We have seen a spurt in militant activities, terrorist activities in the south of the Pir Panjal. Over this year, there are almost 21 of our brave Jawans who have lost their lives in these operations. See, this is a revisit. I mean, this area was active earlier in 99, 2000, 2001. It was quite active. There was this famous Operation Sarp Vinash, which was carried out in 2003, which led to almost 45-50 terrorists being killed at that time, both sides of the Pir Panjal. So everything was well. I mean, in the sense, peace had been established, and suddenly you find a revisit of violence in these areas. So obviously, what is happening here is that Pakistan is attempting to find its relevance, to establish its relevance all over again. It's finding it difficult to do it in Kashmir because the The grid is very, very strong there. Here, the grid is slightly weaker. It's not weak as such, but slightly less strong than what it is in Kashmir. And they probably found it more appropriate to try and focus their operations in this area. They have inducted some terrorists here who are holed up in the rocky layer on top in the South Pir Panjal in the forested areas. And unfortunately, this has been a series of incidents. It doesn't always happen. I'm sure the Indian Army will get over it. But to come back to Mr. Rajnath's visit, it's an important thing that he is there at a juncture such as this, when you have had repeated lack of successes. It's good to see a personality like him going there, the highest personality in the defense structure as such, executive structure as such. He's there and he's not holding hands. He's primarily there to send a message, a strong message down to the population in this area, to the commanders and to all troops, that India, we and the Indian Army has had repeated success in this area. We have normalized the situation from a high of 5,000 terrorists to something which is very, very, below 100 at the moment. So we have to refine our ways of success all over again. And I think it's a very important message which he has stated, is that alongside operations which are akin to war, these operations are hybrid war and therefore akin to war, it's important to bring in the aspect of winning hearts and minds. This has been the guiding principle of Indian counter-terrorism operations, always counterinsurgency operations, always. We've taken this to a very high level where alongside all hybrid, hardcore kinetic operations, we have always taken soft power. We have taken Indian military soft power to the people. And we have made sure that even under the worst conditions, we have held their hand in the field of education, in the field of national integration, whether it is medical or small-scale infrastructure. Every single thing has been done by the Indian Army in those times when the civil administration could not function as normally as it is functioning today. So I think Mr. Rajnath's visit is at such an important juncture, and he's speaking the right words to the people there who just need that motivation to continue. There is nothing wrong in the manner in which the army is operating. It has to just refine a few of its winning and successful ways. Maybe a few SOPs have to be tweaked here and there, such as movement, for example. Movement is something in which we have found repeatedly vehicles have been hit, ambushes have hit our troops many times, and we have lost troops there. So it is on these kind of things that he has emphasized, and I think this is going to be a turning point in the whole campaign south of the Pir Panjal.
Lieutenant General Hasnain, India has lost 4 soldiers. One can never really come to terms to this. In the latest terror operation, 21 over the last several months perhaps. But there are allegations of civilians having been killed as well in alleged army custody. Army has ordered a court of inquiry. Defence Minister has done the right messaging, but will this be enough?
To my mind, this is a progressive action which is in place. Nothing is enough. In such hybrid war situations, nothing is completely enough as such to overcome a situation. Progressively, you will find more and more build-up will take place in a series and in many domains. It's not just necessary in operations. But the best thing that the army has done is that admitted that there has been a failure somewhere. This incident, there were people perhaps involved in it, uniformed people who were involved in it. Nothing can be confirmed until, in the best ways of the army, an investigation, a transparent investigation is carried out. And the results of that investigation, which are time-bound, will be revealed transparently to everyone. Once that happens, it should be seen that justice is happening and is seen to be happening. When that happens, a very important message will go down to the people. We've had a couple of incidents of this kind in the past 32, 33 years. It's not always that everything goes hunky-dory. You do find that as you go along and you meet success, there are a couple of obstacles of this kind which come in. There are, troops are all over. There are people with weapons all over. There are people with different aspirations all over. Command and control sometimes gets diluted. So with all this, the army is not saying that nothing has happened. I think it's rightfully they are admitting something has happened. Unfortunate, but an inquiry is the important aspect. The inquiry and the conclusion of that inquiry and its transparent revelation of that inquiry, findings of that inquiry are very, very important.
Right. I have to ask you, Lieutenant General, India is facing some sensitive geopolitical situations or challenges, if I may say, with what is happening in the Indian Ocean, in Jammu and Kashmir, the heightened terror attacks for that matter. What would you say at this point is India's biggest challenge?
See, India is emerging. It's finding its aspirations being achieved. It's under good leadership. And we will find that there will be all kinds of obstacles placed in our way to make sure that what we are destined for is not achieved in the time frame that we look for. So obviously, we've got a neighborhood which is not so peaceful. We've got neighbors who have aspirations which are not in consonance with ours, which very much in confrontation with us as such. So you will find that geopolitics of the region and geopolitics of the near abroad region, which I call the region up to Middle East and maybe the Indo-Pacific, these geopolitics will impinge on our interests from time to time. Now, what's happening on the Israel-Hamas front, what's happening in the Red Sea at the moment is obviously the first signs of an emerging return to global terror. And global terror had virtually vanquished with the end of the ISIS in 2018-19. We saw during the pandemic hardly any major incidents of global terror. It's only in the Afghanistan-Pakistan region that we were finding this. Now, this may find its way here. This is something that we have to be very careful about. And we must make sure that the initial signs of this in terms of the incidents which are happening in the Jammu region at the moment are clamped down upon at the earliest. That's an important aspect for us.
Right. Thank you very much, Lieutenant General Hasnain, for joining us at this very important point.